Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Ahmed Al Qadri, and today we will continue our lesson uh, about how matter can change. And today we want to talk about chemical changes. Before we start talking about chemical changes, we have to make a quick revision and talk about a physical change. When we said a physical change, that means there is no change in the property of a matter. So, as example, if we cut a paper, if we crush a can, the can is still can, and the paper is still a paper, even we crush it or we cut it. So, there is no change in the matter. But in a chemical change, that means that change begins with one kind of matter and end with another. So a chemical change, also known as a chemical reaction, that means I have a new substance appear. So as example, most bicycle frames contain iron. If you leave the bicycle outside for too long, the frame might rust. So rust is a solid, brown substance. It forms when iron gets wet and reacts with oxygen in the air. So rust is neither iron nor oxygen. So though it contains both of these elements. So the change from iron to rust is a chemical change. So a chemical change begins with a one kind of matter and ends with another. A chemical change is also known as chemical reaction. All chemical reactions either give off energy or use energy. Chemical reaction may give off heat, light, or electricity. For example, this picture, fireworks release so much energy that they can light up the sky. Of course, we have lots of examples of chemical changes. When we cook food, we change the color, the taste, and the texture of food. So cooking and baking cause chemical changes in food because when we start cooking, we have begins with one kind of matter, and when we end cooking, we have ends with another kind of matter. Cooking is an example of chemical change. Some chemical changes produce gases. So when vinegar is mixed with baking soda, dioxide, a gas is released. So you can tell by the bubbles that form. As example, you can see this picture right now here. So gas bubbles are evidence of a chemical change when the baking soda is mixed with vinegar. Have you ever noticed a black substance on silver jewelry? So that substance is tarnish. The tarnish forms when silver reacts with sulfur in the air. So if you use the polish on the areas of tarnish, you cause another chemical change. So the silver gets shiny again. Shortly after we see the examples of chemical changes, if we have a new substance, that means there is a chemical change occur. As example, if we cut a paper, this paper is still a paper. Okay, guys. But if we burn it, so there is a new substance appears. It's the ash. So the paper becomes ash. So this is an example of chemical change. But if we cut the paper, it's a physical change. Right now, we want to talk about science of chemical change. If you know what to look for, you will find evidence of chemical change all around you. So the most visible sign in a change is a change in color. So rust and tarnish are good examples of change in color. As you know, the changing color is the most visible sign in a chemical change. So rust and tarnish are good examples of this. So a change in sense is another sign of a chemical change. So while your marshmallow is toasting, it gives off a pleasant smell. If it burns, the odor is less pleasant. So also the odor and the scent is very good examples of science here. Also, if you see bubbling or hear fizzing, chemical change may have occurred. So these signs indicate the release of a gas. For example, dropping antacid tablets into water will release a lot of fizzy bubbles, as you see in the picture, in this picture below here right now. This is a gas bubbles or evidence of a chemical change or a sign of chemical change. Right now, many reactions cause the matter involved to become warm or hot. Other causes the matter to become cold. So some reaction even give off light. Fire is a chemical reaction that gives off light and heat. So the light, and if we burn wood as example, if we make a fire, the fire is example of chemical reaction because at the end we have a new substance and give off light and heat. So let's take an example, the reaction of iron and silver. As you see in this picture right now, iron and sulfur are mixed together. Iron is a gray metal. It's also magnetic. Sulfur is a yellow powder. So you can see the sulfur right here, the yellow one, and the gray one is the iron. So if we heated, if we heated the this two metals, so this iron with the sulfur, you can see the heated rod causes a chemical change. Light and heat are released. So the result, as you see in this picture here, is iron sulfide, a black non-magnetic material. So you can see the difference between the first and the second. So it's a start with kind of matters and end with another type of matter. This is a chemical change.